powerful creators, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Janita Harris, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification so you can be notified when I do a new upload. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to reconnect and heal our feminine wounds. And by feminine wounds, what I'm talking about is an injury that breaks down the feminine spirit, the feminine aura, and the feminine tissue. I know oftentimes when we have conversations around femininity, we usually focus on the superficialness of femininity, such as hair, nails, makeup, dressing, earrings, and things like that. But in its totality, femininity is really an energy, and it's an aura. It's an energy field. Femininity is about being open and creative and fun and strong and fierce. Yes, you can be strong and fierce in your femininity. It's about being nurturing and compassionate, grace and kindness. There actually is not a one-size-fits-all feminine expression. In fact, there are different feminine expressions indeed. I think a really great example to kind of illustrate the different type of feminine expressions, let's talk about briefly some orishas that derive from the Nigerian religion Yoruba. I actually first learned about the orishas when I went to Cuba with my twin sister Jaleesa, and there they practice Santeria, which is another form of Yoruba. And so I'm just going to talk about 3 orishas. There are many different orishas, and I'm briefly going to talk about them just to kind of give you an example of how there are different feminine expressions in the world. There is not a one-size-fits-all feminine expression. It's very important that we all understand that. And let's first start with Yamaya. She is the ultimate universal mother. She's the mother of the ocean, of all life. She is deeply nourishing. She's the protector of pregnant women and children. So a feminine expression like that is going to be deeply nurturing. Others are going to feel safe around this type of feminine expression. They're going to feel heard and valued and protected. So that's what that feminine expression might look like. Another orisha that is a great feminine expression is Ushun. Ushun is the feminine expression of sensuality, of gold and honey and fun and creativity. So this type of feminine expression is going to probably be the life of the party. People naturally are drawn to her. She's really magnetic, she's fun, she's free-flowing, and she may be sensual. Another feminine expression that a lot of the times we actually don't talk about is Oya. Oya is the warrior god. She controls the storms and the change and the weather. She is known to be in battle right next to her husband. So she's fierce, and she is never mistaken as a man. She is feminine energy. I like to think of her in a lot of ways as that strong leadership of femininity where you know she's a boss. And she's bad at it, right? And bad in a good sense. But that is that fierce type of feminine energy that we often don't actually talk about. I, to a certain degree, liken Oya to like the feminist movement to a certain degree. But that is that warrior spirit. That is that warrior femininity that comes out. And so when our feminine energy is wounded, it actually causes us to disconnect with how we may naturally express our femininity. And somewhere in our life, we have received some type of messages that told us that it wasn't safe to express our feminine energy. And so then we learn to adapt, right? So let's look at, for instance, the nurturing type of femininity. Let's say in her wounds, she acts very overprotective and worrisome. Perhaps she learned that or experienced a loss of a loved one. So that wound of losing a loved one caused that feminine energy to become overprotective and maybe perhaps overbearing. In terms of a feminine energy that is more sensual, perhaps that, they learned that their sensuality was wrong. And so that they became more emotionally manipulative and controlling of their partners, and might have a lot of partners. And this is not to be confused with someone that is sexually liberated. This is more so someone that is not being in control or responsible with their sexual energy, because they were wounded, and so they overcompensated with it. And again, wounds are going to manifest differently based off of who you are and what your expression is. And you might have some type of feminine expression from each of these. And there are so many other feminine expressions than the 3 that I just talked about. And then let's say for, the Oya type of warrior type of femininity, it could be that they learned that it wasn't safe to assert themselves. It wasn't safe to be strong. And so they became over dominating in situations to overcompensate for that wound. A lot of the times when we have feminine wounds, we might not even be aware of it. So I want us to take a moment and do a little exercise to help us to reconnect with the first time we learned that it wasn't safe or okay to express our femininity in whatever way possible. So I want you to think back to when you were a child and you expressed yourself in a feminine way and you learned it wasn't okay. When I think about mine, I remember in early high school, and I've had other situations, but in early high school, I remember that there was this beautiful woman that was walking by, and her walk was just amazing. And I was really drawn to her walk, and some of the men in my family pointed her out and said that that you can tell that a woman is not a virgin based off of how she's walking, and that she probably is promiscuous and a slut. And I just remember being like really taken back, and it deeply impacted me. So in that moment, what I learned about femininity is that it was deeply tied to my virtue, and how I walk and means that people can know what I'm doing and make all these judgments about me. And it actually really impacted me to where my mind processed that as, okay, so I need to walk really fast, because if I walk really fast, obviously I'm a young woman on a mission and I am virtuous and wholesome, right? And so that's just an example. Your example could be something completely different. Like I have a colleague who in early middle school remembers that she wore this beautiful dress and she felt so pretty and she felt like a princess, and she got a lot of compliments throughout the day, and towards the end of the day she actually got sexually assaulted. And how she made meaning of that is that wearing dresses and being pretty is unsafe. It means that people are going to take advantage of me. And how that impacted her is she doesn't feel comfortable even in adulthood wearing dresses or even looking pretty. So we all receive messages about our femininity, and that one might be more on the extreme side, but I want you to really take a time and think back of when you first learned that it wasn't okay to be feminine. Maybe you learned that it wasn't okay to play with dolls, and it actually had an impact, because we're always making meaning from our experiences. Even if we don't consciously know we're making meaning, as humans, we are meaning-making machines. So we're making meaning. So I want you to take a time back and look back. And I also want you to take some time and think about where in the body do you remember that memory? Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel it in your head? Do you feel it in your throat? And what does it feel like? Does it feel hard? Is it soft? Does it make you feel hot? Does it make you feel cold? What type of sensation, right? So locating where the memory is at in your body is a really great way to help you actually heal that event for you. And this could be really triggering. I had another friend who did it, and she was like, oh my gosh, I never realized that I had some feminine wounds. And so it's just an exercise to kind of help you become more aware of the first time that you learned that it wasn't okay for you to express your feminine energy, and what it made you feel like, where in the body it made you feel unsafe. And then that's just one of the first steps to identifying, and then we can move into actually healing it. So I have really 2 cool exercises that you can do. They're just suggestions, but one of them could be that, let's say in your heart chakra, you learned that it wasn't safe. And so when you did this exercise, you feel it in your heart. So I recommend taking your left hand, because your left hand is associated with femininity, and you want to place it over the part of your body where you feel the trauma, where you feel that memory. And then you want to put your right hand on top of your left hand, and you want to recognize the pain. And it could look like whatever. It doesn't have to be a pre-rehearsed script that you say. Whatever you need to say to yourself, you should just go with it. So if you feel it in your heart, you could easily say, I recognize that my heart feels hard when I think about my femininity, and I accept you. I love you. I'm sorry that you were wounded and that I am wounded. You literally, whatever comes to mind, trust that that's your mind and your spirit and your body working out whatever it needs to work out, right? So you could say, I love you and I accept you and I embrace you as a feminine being, and I embrace you in that heart chakra. And then another technique that you can do is, and this is my favorite, it's more so like dance therapy. Well, basically it's dance therapy. And I really like to listen to Indiari's song, I Am Light. And I will listen to that song and I'll blindfold myself. And when I feel wounded in my femininity, I will dance to that. And however my body moves, that's how my body is going to move, right? So it's not about having a script. That's why I'm not telling you exactly what to say, because you know what your spirit knows what it needs to do to heal itself. And so you just have to reconnect with that higher self, that higher version of yourself, to do the healing. So in the dance therapy one, what you do, and it's kind of fun, is you blindfold yourself. And so there's a part in the song where it goes, I am light. So maybe for I am light, I go like this, or maybe I go like this. However your body moves is how you trust. And when I do it, I truly feel like I'm releasing any wounds, and I'm allowing healing to come in. And so I'm like, however your body moves, you just let your body move, okay? And you trust that your body is healing itself. And you know, in these type of exercises, you can learn to forgive the wounder. Because I think a lot of the times, I don't think that, you know, the men in my family, when they said that, knew that they were having an impact. Maybe they did, but I don't think they realized that from that moment, I was going to be extremely self-conscious and how I walk as a woman, and think that I am like being judged all the time, right? And so it's really just about me coming in a place to where I can feel comfortable in my feminine expression, regardless of what the world has to say about how I'm supposed to act. I need to be secure and know that I am a fully expressed individual. I'm a fully expressed feminine being, and I am secure and safe in how I do that. So those are just some exercises that you can do to kind of help you heal it. So, powerful creators, I gently and lovingly challenge you to heal and identify your feminine wounds. Also, leave a comment in the comments below and let me know, what are you committed to doing to heal your feminine wounds, so that you can be a fully expressed feminine being how you want to. Also, what is your feminine expression? What does it look like? Remember, there's not a one size fits all feminine expression. All right, powerful creators, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode, and we will be back next week.